let's go ahead and actually, I will do that for, oh, a minute.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I get my share screen here. And I am not finding it. Sorry about that, guys. Let me try one more time.
So if you go to your Kahoot account, you should find it over there.
Yeah, I had it pulled up and then it went away.
Oh.
We'll try one more time. There it is. Now let's see if I can share my screen at the same time. If not, it is, there we go. Let's see. Nope, that didn't work. Oh.
Kahoot may
All
not
right.
be compatible with Zoom, so we can just go ahead and start.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's go ahead and start because we are now at 6 o'clock. I apologize for that glitch. That Kahoot did not work for me.
Okay, thank you all for joining us. It looks like we've got quite a few people this evening, so that is awesome. So I apologize about the Kahoot. We didn't test it out, and we probably should have. We weren't aware that it did not work with Zoom that way, so sorry about that.
Hey there. I'm in the Kahoot, and it's making all kinds of music. Do you want me to leave it?
Yeah.
0 players.
You can close it, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. So welcome to the 3 C's of collaboration: creative, convenient, and compatible. Today we're going to learn about Google Drive and all of the Google tools that you can use to collaborate. So once you've participated in our webinar, by the end you should be able to identify appropriate sharing options and utilize those to collaborate. You should be able to use Google Forms to collect information. And you should be able to demonstrate proficiency with all of the collaborative tools in Google Drive. So in our big picture, we've got a professional, as you are, needs to collaborate with his or her colleagues to create a shared project. So using Google Drive, you can organize a unit. Many of us are teachers. And so we discussed organizing a unit, possibly using Google Slides, Google Forms, Google Sheets, and Google Docs to be gathering information, collaborating with notes, creating your presentation, and organizing all of your data for that unit. So you can see how Google Drive really just works all together with the collaborative tools. You can create, you can collaborate, you can share the end result with your students or with other peers. So in looking at Google Drive, and we go on to My Google Drive, to get to Google Drive, you'll just go to the apps, and you can go down to Drive. And you'll see My Google Drive has all kinds of pictures, which I know there's also a Google Pictures, and I just haven't transferred them into there. I've got handouts here from this group. I've got different folders. So in Google Drive, you can organize it, which is really, really helpful. So if you go to New, and you go to Folder, you can create a new shared folder is what we're going to call this, okay? And if you create that, you'll see it pops up right here in Folders. And when you right-click, you can then share that entire folder, okay? And anyone you share that folder with, so for instance, I will share it with, oh, let me see. I know I've got some of you on here. Please tell me I do. Okay, I don't have any of my teammates on here. I did not get them put on here. But if you share a Google folder, then you can then share everything inside of that folder. Okay, so for instance, this folder right here is our folder that we use to create our webinar, and you'll see that it is shared, and you know that it's shared because it has this little person right here in the file, and you'll see that none of these others do. So everything in this folder will be shared. If you create something new in this folder, anything you put in here will be shared with the people that are on this folder. And you can check on that by right-clicking again, and you go to share. If you go down here to advance, you can get all of the details on who this is shared with. So you'll see that Joni is the owner of the folder, and it was shared with me to be able to change. It was also shared with all of us in here for anyone in the link can edit. Okay. Now, as an owner, you're able to invite other people, share it with others, and also take away their access to that folder. And I would recommend using folders to work on making sure that your Google Drive is accessible to you, because otherwise it just gets overwhelming. Okay, the other highlights here in Google Drive, you can go to Shared With Me, and this shows everything that was shared with you in Google. When something's shared with you, you can get an email, which you might not necessarily. It depends on the options that the person chooses, and we'll talk a little bit about that. The other thing is starring things, and this is really important here. If you put a little star on something, so you'll notice here that when I open this, that it's got a little star right here. And as long as that star is highlighted, then that is going to show up in my starred folder. So if I unhighlight that and then close it, and I refresh here, I have no starred folders. Okay, so anything you're going to be using a lot or that's really important, you'll want to make sure that it is starred. Okay. So I am actually going to turn it over to Sean. Are there any other questions or any other comments about Google Drive that we need to discuss before we get into Google Docs? Okay.
All right.
Wonderful. Let me release my, how do I get out of this? Stop share. There we go. Okay.
There you go. All right. Claudia, did you have a poll question you wanted to ask real quick?
Oh, yes.
All right. All right. If you take a moment and just answer those really quick questions, we would appreciate it. And then, Claudia, you can do what you need to do there.
Yes. 3, 4. Can you guys see the results or not?
Not yet.
Okay, I only have 10 out of 12, so there's 2 people who.
Could that be us?
Oh, yeah. 11, let's see.
All right. All right, pretty proficient answers. You all clearly have a really good background in general Google, which was also conveyed by the pre-evaluation that you took, which we really appreciate you taking for us. Before we go too much further, there was a note catcher shared with you, both on your both on the invitation as well as in the feed. if we could share that again, just so everybody could get that note catcher, that would be awesome because we're going to work with that. My name is Sean, and I am going to cover some really quick collaborative elements of Google Drive, or I'm sorry, Google Docs with you. Since your initial survey said that you had some skill with Google Docs, I'm going to go to some of the more advanced collaborative pieces. So I am going to share my screen. And what I would ask is that you all go ahead and get onto the Google, not the Kahoot. If you will all go on to the 3 C's of collaboration, lots of you are already there. Note catcher, that's sort of what we're going to work with. And one of the things that I really enjoy about Google Docs, as I'm sure many of you do, is that you can all be on there at the same time. So this is a place where, as we're doing our webinar, if you would like to collaboratively take some notes, please feel free to put your name in a box and take whatever notes you desire. That way we are co-creating our notes and we can come back to this and remind each other of what we learned when we have to fill out our final form. So, all right, so here are some things that I like about using Google Docs. The first thing is that you can never lose a Google Doc for the most part. Even if you get rid of it, you can always go to the file and go to version history. And if you're looking at the version history, you can actually see the history. And the reason that is good is because if, let's say, you're collaborating with students, if you're a teacher, and they wipe out the document, you can actually go back to previous histories and you can name them and you can make them, and then you can restore them. So, for example, this one I've labeled original, and if I wanted, which I won't, I could simply restore that original. So that is always a good thing to have when you're working with a document. It's wonderful never to have to lose them. So something else that's really nice is that you can actually set limits for expiration dates for your collaborators. So if I were to look at my collaborators, I can actually, anybody that I've shared this document with, I can, oops, that's not it. Well, this will work. So I can look at who it's shared with, and I can actually set a timer for when this collaboration expires. So what we can do is, for my other account, I actually have set an expiration date for that account. It will expire in 23 days, and I can actually put the number of days of an expiration, or I can cancel it. That means that, let's say I only want to collaborate with you for, oh, I just got rid of me. Huh. Let's say I only want to collaborate with you for the next 24 hours. I can actually set that so that you only have access to this document for that amount of time. So I find that extremely useful for long-term collaboration. The other thing you can do that's really helpful is what my colleagues and I were doing earlier, which was we were chatting as we were creating our Google slide. And all you have to do is hit the button here, and you can chat with people as you move forward. So that's always nice as a collaboration tool. Are there any questions so far?
Okay, does anyone else have anything to add?
Well, I'm not quite done. I have a couple other things. I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going too fast.
Sorry, Sean.
It's all right. The other thing I wanted to mention, as far as collaboration goes, is that you can actually assign jobs to people. And so with this little plus button, I can add, if I hit plus and then my other account, I can actually assign myself, give myself an assignment for what I need to have done. And it'll come up in my email saying, you need to edit this doc. And then I can assign it, and that will come up in my email. So, sorry about that. And so, the final thing I wanted to talk about was how to outline a document. Oh, shoot. I want to outline a document. So if you go to, where did I put it? View, show document outline. It'll actually allow you to create a document as you're outlining it. And so the big thing there is that you have to use the titles, the headings in order to outline the document. So if there are no other questions, I am done with this portion.
Thank you, Sean. Those are awesome tips. I got something in chat that said we didn't even know this, so great tips there for some advanced users.
Awesome.
Okay, so Claudia is now going to help us with slides.
And I'm going to release my computer as soon as I figure out how to do it. That's always my worst part.
It's a little red part up at the top on mine.
I'm all good.
I struggled with that too.
All right, Claudia?
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, so it's not here. Okay, so right now I'm going to present the slides. So we're going to talk about how to create a presentation, how to insert some images, how to insert videos, shapes, and change the themes, and share and collaborate. Kind of basic things. So if we go right here, we have a blank, your big idea for albums. In this section, you can search. You can open a file in documents, and you can view if you want as a list, as a grid, or like with this one, you can sort the documents either by name or date. So when we are in Google Drive, we're in the Drive, the first thing we need to do is we need to go to what it says new. If we want to create a new document, we go to Google Slide, and we either can choose a blank presentation or something from a template. So right now we're going to go to a blank presentation. Okay. Once we open slide, if you guys see on the right side, we have this section where it says themes, and we can choose any theme that we would like to use. If we don't like any of those, like I usually don't like any of this, we can import a theme. Or we just can we can upload something. Now, when we start with a slide, the first things that I recommend is to name your file. So we can put slides. Okay, so we just name it. Then after that, when you open the slides, it usually comes with the first box, in the first page have two sections, two boxes. So in this one, we can put like, hola. To add another slide, we just can give enter, or we just can go, what is it? Insert slides, but I cannot find it right here. Yeah, we just keep going, enter, and we can add more. So right now we have 2 boxes. So what do we do if we only have 1? If we only have 1 box, and we want to create write something else, we just can press right here, and we do click. Sorry. Here we go. So we can do. We can open a box. We can put something. If we want to, when we have this, we can go over here and we can put some color on it. We can also do some border with it. We can give like different, type of border we would like to use, different ones. Now, the good thing about Google is like, if you want to do something, for example, if you want to do something with this box, after you click, it's going to give you all the options that you have. If you notice, when we take off the click, there is nothing else right here. When we go to the click, we can see everything. So, it makes it easier. So you don't need to be like looking around and like trying to find everything. Another thing that I want to show you guys is how to insert a image. So one of the ways that you can insert an image is there from your drive, from your photos, from your URL for a link, or from your camera if you have it. But we're not going to use my picture. So you can go and say insert image. We can search from the web. You can look for one copy. English dog. I'm really scared of dogs, but for some reason I think these ones are so cute. So we are going to insert this picture. After we insert it, we can give it a certain shape. So we select the picture, we go over here with shape, and we can choose a shape that we would like. Oh, sorry. Oh my God, why is not? We can either crop the image or we can make it something different. Another thing we can do, we can insert a video. We can go insert again. We can go a video here. So we can either search a video we would like, we can copy and paste the URL, or we can put something from our Google Drive. So from search, we can look from, I don't know, TED videos. And then the good thing about this is like, you can have like a preview every single thing, and explains like what are you going to put, so you don't have to like put the whole, you don't need to watch the video first. You just can like kind of look at it and see what you want to put. And then let's put this one. And after you select it, the video is right there. Now, one of the ways to collaborate with someone else in slides is like you go over here, we say share. And the same as Google Docs, you just type the email that you would like to. So I'm going to share with me. You can even add a note. Right over here, you can you choose if you want to give the next person like permission to edit or comment or view, and you send it. Also, if you want to share it, like for me, some sample from a school, like sometimes I share that link with the students, you just can go over here. And then you just can choose like anyone with this link can view the thing or can, you know, comment or edit it. We're just gonna just view, and then you just copy and paste the link and give it to them. And that's another way to share the document. And that will be everything for right now about Google Slides. Do you guys have any questions or something?
All right, thanks, Claudia.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can hand it over to Kevin, who's going to help you begin a form.
All right, so let me get my screen shared first. Okay, cool. So Google Forms is a great tool for a variety of purposes and contexts. Again, for our big picture example, if we're talking about a teacher who wants to use this for a unit, this is a great formative evaluation tool to use. This is something that you could even use for just an end of units test, so it could be more summative in nature. It's good for collecting data on students. And if you're in a different type of setting, you can use this for a variety of things. Again, I would say probably like up here, if you look at this red box, you can see things like, you know, contact info, RSVPs, party invites. So you can use this for a whole bunch of things. So once you go to Google Forms, you can pick from a variety of templates. And once you get down here, once you have a bunch of forms created, this is where you would kind of organize those. So what I'm going to do to get started is show you how to kind of navigate forms. Based on the pre-evaluation, it looks like there was a couple people who weren't as familiar with it. So I'll kind of do a basic overview, and then you guys are going to go ahead and make your own form. And if you take a peek at your 3 C's of collaboration note catcher, there's actually a table at the bottom that gives you an opportunity to share your end product, the form you created on that note catcher. So first things first, though, let's go ahead and find out how to make one in the most easiest way possible. We've talked about Drive before. This is kind of your home base. This would be the place to start. You're going to go over here to where it says New, which is where you would start any new document. Forms isn't at the ready, so you have to go to More, hover over it for a second or two, and then here you're going to find Google Forms. Now, before you click that, you'll notice if you hover over the arrow, or actually you can even click it or hover over it, you can start with a blank form or go from a template. It's probably easiest to go from a blank form just to get started because you can kind of go from scratch. Okay, so I'll click that and it brings me to the default page for a blank form, which looks something like this. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is show you the type of questions that exist and how to kind of begin formatting these things. First things first is at the title, you can do something like, you know, World War II quiz. And what's cool is when you click over here at the top, when you get an actual file name, if you click that, it'll preload that title. So for a question, you could have, you know, what are the Axis powers? So this might be something, if you're a teacher, if you're making a quiz, this would be a cool way to do that in a really easy way. So if you say, what are the Axis powers? Or anything like that. Okay, for this question, obviously you're probably thinking, well, there's more than one, so why would I do multiple choice? That's where this menu here comes in real handy. There's actually multiple types of questions you can ask. I'm not going to have time to go through all of these, so I'll just go and go through a couple. For this one, a great option would be checkboxes. Because in this case, you get to pick multiple answers. So I could put the US, I could put Great Britain, I could put France, Germany. Oops, a little bit of a typo. Go on down the list here, and I can kind of just keep going. Okay, so once you have that question designed, what's one cool thing you can do with this is preview it for what your students would see. So up here at the top, there's a little eye icon that says preview. If you click that, it gives you what the quiz will look like in the end. So for this one, we'll just click these things here. Okay. And if you don't like the question, you can always click the little pencil button back here, and you can go back to editing that form. So you can go back here. You can even collect data as far as correct answers. To do that though, so for teachers, one cool thing you want to do, or one really effective tool, is to go to the settings option up here. And if you want to make this a quiz, you have to go to where it says quizzes here, click that, and make it a quiz. And there's a couple of options that you can go through here, but that's one real quick way to get the right answers from students. So in this case, you would go down to answer key. In this case, you would select the ones that you want students to get. And then you can assign a point value. So in this case, you might logically go with 3. And then you have yourself a question. Okay, so that's checkboxes. Okay, I'm going to show you another way you can use forms here. That's pretty cool. Let's say you're trying to collect data. This is where maybe you would say, hey, I want to just collect phone numbers, emails, whatever. So let's say you want to get phone numbers from whoever you're trying to get phone numbers from, whatever organization you're part of. Okay, so you might ask, what is your phone number? Okay. And what's really cool and a nice feature about forms is when you type this in, okay, anyone could put, it's not that big of a deal to type your phone number in, but sometimes errors can happen. One really neat thing that can happen here, I'm actually going to turn off the quizzes function here for just a sec, is down here at the bottom right, there's a little menu button that you can click. There's a little option here called response validation. If you click that, in this case, what I might do is limit the length of the response so that it's not some random phone number that's not actually true, because maybe someone puts a typo in and makes their phone number too short or too long. So a phone number without any hashes with area code is 10 characters, so I might just type in 10. Okay, and then I'm good to go. So I'll click off to the side here, and you have a question. Now, if I go to preview that, and let's say I type in some random number, you'll notice that once I go over that character amount, it yells at you to say, hey, you've gone over that, so you can fix your phone number. That will kind of erase any potential mistakes you might get in collecting data from any users. Okay, one last thing as far as collecting data that's really cool on forms is email collection. So if you just type in what is your email, forms will give you this option that says enable email collection setting. If you click that, it automatically will collect valid email addresses and will create a Google Sheet for you. So what's really neat is I want to go to a form I created for my students. Is at the end of collecting all the data, there's a thing over here that says responses. And if you click that, over here there's a little spreadsheet icon. If I click that, what that does, and Del Rey will go into more detail with this, is it will actually create a sheet with all the data that you put in there. Okay, so that's one way that forms and sheets kind of work together. Now, to collaborate using this, one last thing I'll show you is instead of share on forms, it actually has the send option, which is essentially the same thing, so don't get too confused by that. But if I wanted to add a collaborator, I would hit send. And let's say I wanted to add my colleague Sean on here, so I would just type in her Gmail address, and I would send it to her. And once she gets access to that, then she can start adding questions, kind of like a Google Doc where we can be working on it at the same time, which is really cool. You can also, even if you hit the send option, once you get a finalized form, like for example, the formative evaluation survey at the end, all that is a link here, and you can even make that a tiny URL so that it's not taking up a bunch of space. So that's kind of a quick rundown of forms. Before I let you guys loose and create your own, are there any questions? I feel like I did a pretty quick rundown there, so just want to make sure we're clear.
Sounds great, Kevin. What are we supposed to create a form on?
Okay, so what you can do with this is, I think something that might be relevant for you and your purposes. So you can either create a quiz, and again, if you make a quiz, make sure that you fix it in the settings here, or you can maybe think about making some sort of survey. So I would just create a form that you think works best for your particular case. And one thing that maybe you want to think about messing with are the types of questions. So maybe a checkbox option, multiple choice, whatever you think is best. Understand there's a bunch of other options here that you can look at. So you can even create Likert scale questions, anything kind of like this. And that's where you would, if I go back here, if you add a new question, you would hit the little plus button here. And again, you can kind of fix those here with checkbox grid, multiple choice grid. So go ahead, and what I would say is go ahead and go to your Google Drive account, start there, go to new, and create a form with only maybe a couple of questions, maybe like a multiple choice checkbox question, or anything that collects any sort of data.
Hey, Kevin.
Yes.
I was wondering, I've started a form and I've, in the settings, changed it to quiz, and I have like 3 multiple choices, but I can't seem to select one as the right choice. How
Great
could I go about doing that?
Yep, perfect. Okay, so once, like, if you look at this question, like if you were doing a World War II quiz, you can edit a question here, and at the bottom of a question that you create, there's a thing that says answer key, the bottom left-hand corner. So once
yeah, great.
that'll be there, and then once you're there, you can make the proper selection, and of course, you can add a point value. You have to be really careful with that point value, because if you're scrolling, like I am here, sometimes, like, I've messed up and I've given the question like 86 points. So you want to be very careful. But yeah, that's how you would do that.
50 points for Gryffindor. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Once you've created your quizzes, if you would share them with our document, our Google Doc is up, and if you will, there's a box down at the bottom. There we go. And it looks like some of you are already doing that. Awesome.
And Shine, I just saw yours, I think. It's the other, yep. You like cats or dogs? I like that. It's a good multiple choice question. Dogs for sure. So I'm actually going to take your form just because. Okay. So in Shina, if you were to go back to your form, you would probably see the one response, the thing that I just did, and you can see, I mean, you probably saw it on the screen, but you could see how that data is collected. So
yeah, now's your chance to ask anything of our classmates.
That's right. Because now you guys can even go through and take each other's form quizzes, or, you know, put in whatever they ask for. You can mess around with it. It's pretty cool system. Again, feel free to ask questions while you're doing that. I'll be happy to clarify anything you might have a question on.
Awesome. I just got 3 out of 3 on the Monty Python Holy Grail quiz.
Good job. I can confirm that from looking at my results. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And one thing, if you can't continue to do that you can do that. But one thing I'll say is, depending on the type of question, like I asked my students, you know, what is the, I was trying to kind of get them to see how much they use social media, which is a ton, actually, which isn't that surprising. But the data has 2 parts. Like, you can do a summary and an individual. So summary gives you like a bulk, like you can use bar graphs, pie charts, that kind of thing, which is really cool. So like I found that half my students have Snapchats or whatever. And then like individual this case, it was anonymous, but if I had a quiz, I can actually see individual student names and give them grades and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. So again, when you get responses, you can navigate both summary mode and individual mode.
Okay, we'll give it a few more minutes, about another 2 minutes maybe, to get everybody's Google Forms posted, and then we will move on to Sheets.
Did any of you all try unique types of questions?
I'll be happy to guide anyone through any type of.
I like to think that mine was creative and funny, but maybe not.
What was it, Christina? I haven't looked at yours.
We'll click on it and then you'll see.
I said I'm gonna go there.
I'm
Right?
getting there right now. Now you ask for it.
That's awesome. I like how you went with the. Looks like you went the template.
Yeah, the template for
That's awesome.
party.
Yep.
Nice.
That's-
Congratulations, Christina.
Thank you.
That's great.
That's really cool. And it looks like you got that email address function at the bottom there, which is really cool because that's something like that I noticed that's pretty new is the email collection. Before you had to you could do the validation, like, you could put parameters on it, but now it's just an automatic function. Like once you start typing in the word email, it just guesses that you want them to be collected. So that's really cool. Good work. Looks like we got a bunch of people submitting there, so that's cool.
That's awesome. These are going to be so fun to do once we get done here. Remember that you have this link to our note catcher, so you can come back and take a look at these anytime after this.
All right, shall we move forward?
I think it'd probably be a good time to show the Sheets function that connected there. So Del Rey, I think that's
wonderful. Okay, if you will stop sharing, Kevin, then I will get on there.
Yep. I think I hit the wrong button. Hold on.
It's such a small button.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so we are now going to take a look at Sheets. And Kevin did mention that you can collect on Sheets all of your answers from a form. And so this is the pre-webinar evaluation form that all of you took, or 5 of you took anyway. You'll see that it's time-stamped as to when it was taken. If you were collecting emails, it would put that on here as well. This was just a simple grid with, a 1 to 5 scale. But you can go in here and do all kinds of things with your sheet itself. Okay, so the first thing that I like to do is, I'm kind of anal about this, and I like to make it all look neat. So I go in here and I select all of it, and I just double click right there on the line and fit it all. Now, I don't really like the way this fits. So if you click here, you can go into wrap. Okay, so if you go into text wrap, excuse me, text wrapping, and you click on this one, then you can make them smaller in width, and it's going to wrap your text around so that it fits within that box. You see, it is going to make the row larger though, okay? So those are some pretty basics that probably all of you are aware of. We've also got, let me move my little bar here. We've also got filters, which if you haven't used filters, they are such a great tool. Here, you see that at the top, it gives you this little triangle. And with that, you can filter. Okay, so when you go in here, it's going to show you all the values that are here. And you'll notice that we have 3, 4, and 5. No one selected 1 or 2. You can also go in here and sort. So if I want to sort by these, I can do that, say sort A to Z, which is going to, of course, be 1 through 5 as well. And you'll notice there were 2 4s and 2 5s with Google Docs, which hopefully we've taught all of you a little something today. And you can sort each column that way. You can filter by condition. For instance, the date, which is a great one to do the timestamp of, to figure out, you know, who all filled this out on a specific day. So these are all really great tools to use in filtering. The other tools that are a little bit more advanced that I like to use is your data validation. Okay, so maybe you want to say, you want to have someone else complete this form, or you're going through completing a form and you know you only have a few options, and maybe it's years. So for the 2018-2019 school year, or the 2019-2020, I can't believe we're actually writing that in here now. But if you have that, and you can put that even on an additional page, so maybe you want to put that down on a different page, you could do that, or you could put it in a column that you're going to hide, and that could work as well. But if you go in here to data validation, and the cell range is for your form responses, what are you going to validate? So I'm going to validate this one cell right here, and I'm going to choose the list from a range of items on my sheet. So here on my sheet, I'm going to select these 2 items. Okay, so those are the only things that can show, and we're going to show it in a drop-down list. And you can either choose to show a warning, or it can reject it completely. Okay, so when I go in here, I can either use a drop-down to do it, or I can start typing. And if I say, okay, 2017, and the only thing it shows is a warning here. It says it's invalid. Now, if I go right here, and maybe I just select this, it's going to automatically put that in there for me. So that's a really nice tool when you are creating a spreadsheet. Maybe you're creating a grade book in here, you're creating a list of different projects you're going to do, things like that. In my drive, just like all of the others, if you click on new, you'll see that there are also templates for spreadsheets. And so you can do things like budgeting and calendars. Down here for education, you'll see there's an assignment tracker, a grade book. You can take attendance in here. For projects, many of you are working on graduating. You could even consider that a project or event. I've seen Gantt charts being used for wedding planning. So all of those things are really great tools to be able to use Google Sheets in here, and you can share that with someone that you're wanting to plan with. And just like all of the others, you can share it for a specific period of time. You can make it to where they can only view it, or they can only comment. They can't actually edit it. They can just tell you, hey, I think this should be something else. So those are some really great tools that you can use for Sheets. Okay, so that was kind of a quick overview, but all of you did say that you were pretty comfortable. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of some of the more advanced features of Sheets. So we've got some resources, and Sean is actually going to go over those resources with you. Are there any questions on any of the tools that we've used up to this point?
All right. So for our resources, let me go back to that page real quick. My fingers aren't working the way my mind is. All right. So on our resources, we just have a couple of things. We wanted to make sure that you had the webinar slideshow link. So one of the things that we do, we try to do, and we always advise in presentations, is to make sure that you provide the link so that whoever your audience is can actually use the slideshow with you. Additionally, you saw we had the collaborative note catcher, and then you'll see that we have the webinar evaluation that we will ask you to do at the end of this. finally, I wanted to just touch on this thing at the bottom called G Suite training. And what G Suite training is, if you have it, if you have a, if you actually have G Suite, it is the best thing you can possibly download. What it does is it provides this little circle in the corner, and it allows you to...
Sean, can you share your screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I wasn't. Whoopsies. I apologize for that. Let me share my screen. So there we go. Share screen. Sorry about that. So with the G Suite training, it allows you to use this little icon right here. And what it does is it answers all sorts of questions that you might have. So when you're thinking about presenting, it will actually run you through tutorials about different types of, different ways, different questions you might have about presenting. And this is what one of the, sorry about that. So there's an example of that. So we did provide a link for the G Suite training for you. So I would absolutely recommend that if you have access to G Suite, you download that. I went through all of those trainings and got my level 2 trainer, and I'm now working on my, I'm working on my trainer now. So what I'm going to go ahead and, sorry about that, stop sharing. And Claudia, you have something you want to provide? Are you in?
Yes, let me go here. So the last thing we have is the objective revise to see if you guys feel we made the thing. So if you guys can, what is this? Hold on, I think I need to stop share. Okay. Oh, it's not this one. Here. So if you guys can complete the exit poll, please, to see if we made the objective. Okay. So we have 9 out of 12. 10.
Okay, Claudia is going to
Yeah.
post those results in just a second.
Yeah.
Once we exit the webinar, if all of you could go ahead and complete our post-webinar evaluation just to let us know how we did. I linked that in the group chat. So if you could click on that link before we close the webinar, and that way it is available to you, I would really appreciate that.
So we have the result from the poll, Del Rey. I don't know if you want to look at it.
Yeah, those look great. It looks like we've met our objectives. Hopefully all of you have learned a little, and we really, really appreciate you coming. Thank you so much, guys. Don't forget to click on that before we close the webinar out. Bye, guys.
Thank you guys for participating.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.